Hewlett, David Hewlett. God, I just love that photo. Cutest photo. Yeah. So apparently, my son says, I've joined your chat like numerous times, and you haven't mentioned me. And I'm like, oh, didn't I? The problem is on this thing, I've got such a tiny little chat window. It's very hard to keep track of this stuff. But this, my friends, is the sweatiest of all Burn and Learns. Oh my God, I don't know why today I am just a giant bucket of misery. Yes, another attempt at fitness. How are you, N Brandy? Hello to you as well. So another Burn and Learn. Exercise wise, I did 30 minutes again. I suppose I should start looking at how far I go. My son pointed out the other day that I'd done 6 kilometers of rowing, apparently. I was like, wow, that'd be kind of cool. Wholesome Vampires here, Ivan's here, Penteract Gaming's here, TARDIS and Timbit, still one of my favorite names. Good afternoon to you. Is it afternoon already? I guess it is. God, it's almost 2 o'clock. Yes. Well, the day, how it flies by when you've got wonderful company like my wife and my son who's home for the weekend, which is kind of fun. Although I think he's going out the whole time. I probably won't see him the entire time. So ZPM shirt, indeed. Look at that. Gee, I wonder where you could get one of those. techbandits.org. Go check out the shop. There's a whole bunch of sort of Stargate inspired stuff that I couldn't find online. I couldn't find any good like McKay related Stargate stuff. So I thought, okay, I'll sort of make my own, little sort of gray area between all that stuff. Anyway, so go grab one of those if you want to help. There's also a Patreon there if you want to help out with the Patreon as well. So, anyways, what's the point here? I feel revolting. I've just really struggled to get today done for some reason. I sort of but I sort of looked up to see how many, what couple of minutes I had left. And I was like, I'm only 20 minutes in. I'm only 2/3 of the way through. So I was feeling that. But weathered through, and I must say the ones that are the hardest to do are the ones that feel the best when you're done. I mean, not physically, but mentally. Physically, I feel horrible, but mentally, I feel good about getting to sit here and chat for a bit because I've earned it. The learn part again. Back to this technological republic. Is it Kratz? Something. The guy who runs Palantir. It's his book. This time, sort of talking about history and sort of the history of Western civilization and how that was sort of phased out. That it was sort of seen as no longer important for universities to be covering it, and that it was that it was potentially of no use because what is the Western civilization? How do you do the Western civilization without including Britain? How do you do Western civilization without including Asia or Africa or so that basically that was sort of taken out of circulation as a mandatory course for university students. And I don't know where he's going with it. I'm guessing he's going to say that he feels that that's a bad thing because we didn't have a coherent idea of what our American country was all about. And if everyone doesn't know that, they don't know that they, how lucky they are to have it and what they should be contributing to it and stuff like that. So basically his feeling, I'm assuming, and we haven't really got to this yet. He's just sort of going through the history, but my sense is that we're going to end up with a, hey, why don't we have a proper understanding of where we came from, and there's an awful lot of stuff that makes me nervous when I hear things like, and not shying away from, from saying truths, no matter who it is who says them type thing. I mean, his concern is that along with the idea that our politicians have become, celebrities and that we peer behind the curtain and expect them to be at least similar to us, but better, and how that's sort of a fairly recent addition to politics, and that along with that it's attracting the wrong kind of people. Like celebrity television stars wouldn't be, or film stars for that matter, with Reagan or any of these socially media savvy presidents or politicians, that maybe the wrong people are being attracted into civil service because of this. And into running these countries. They run them like celebrities rather than like not philosopher kings would be the wrong term, wouldn't it? But instead of scientifically based, intelligent, academic, maybe not academics, but sort of people in the in the people in practical fields who can then apply that to politics as well. That we've got career politicians now instead of people who have come from other areas or more from other areas. And that's what he's saying. I don't know what the stats are, any of that kind of stuff. So, but the idea that along with that, we've got these, we've got the people, Americans no longer have a sense of America, and without knowing the history of how we got where we got, they don't feel a need to contribute. So they don't want to be in service to the government of America, or they don't want to be working for the government. That's not cool. It's cooler to optimize ad placement and photographs in social media stuff, is his point. So I mean, it's an interesting point. It is an interesting point that we have, in order to not serve the man in power out in Washington, we are now serving, the nerd in power at Facebook or Google or wherever it is. It's an interesting sort of dilemma. I feel like somewhere in between here, there's got to be some good in here. And of course, I think we're getting to the point where we go with Palantir. When he gets into the Palantir stuff, I'm imagining where he's saying, like, look, I mean, we may not want to put guns in the hands of robots, but that's what's going to be required, because that's what our enemies are going to do, and we need to be ahead of this. This whole book is about deterrence, basically, and why we're so afraid of it. I get this kind of like anti-woke feeling from it as well, which is always difficult, because I think there's extremes in every on each side of this stuff. So I'd love to, this is why I read this stuff. I read this stuff, and when I say read, I mean listen to, while I'm exercising like a fit young thing, which I'm not. I like to get some perspectives on stuff that I'm not necessarily a big fan of. It always comes down to money. Yeah, it definitely seems to, doesn't it? I mean, there's big money in government, though, too. I mean, like the contracts that Google would have, or Facebook would have, or OpenAI had, that were balked at by their employees, it would have been massive influxes of money, I'm sure. But it's working for the government, and the concern was it was going to be used for war. I mean, wow, it's an interesting thing, because I definitely find myself on that side of going like, no, we shouldn't use these things for killing people. And his point is, well, we should use these things to show that we can kill people, so people won't do the same to us, that we'll have a better power in place for that. That we should be the, I guess we're the police force for the world in his mind. We will keep the peace because we'll be the biggest power. But I'm sure every power that wants to be in power wants to carry the biggest stick, right? I imagine that China thinks that they would be much better world if they were in charge, and they've probably got things that could prove that, in the same way that they've got things that would very much make me nervous about that. And the same thing for America, I suppose, not to equate the two. I've got to be careful. I do tend to sort of go like, well, I mean, America does bad things too. I don't think I should be equating it to what's happening in China. I don't want to, come across like that's the way I'm thinking. I am aware there's some huge and horrific misuses of power there. We've seen this movie, and it doesn't end well for people. And then we all agreed to get rid of nuclear weapons. Well, I mean, this is the funny thing is, I don't. Maybe I'm just jaded, but I don't believe we could do that. Like I don't believe we could just say let's take it all apart. No one's going to do that anymore. I understand that would make the absolute most sense, but I think there's always going to be distrust there. There's always going to be a concern that someone is not going to see that through. I mean, someone's going to see it as a strategic advantage, and even if it's not, I mean, I worry less about missiles. Although I did see that House of Dynamite movie, and maybe that may be a little more scared about the missile side of stuff. But I've usually been less concerned about a state actor's nuclear missile attack than I am the idea of some loose cannon radical whatever, whether that's a radical anti-American or anti-Israel or anti-Palestine or whatever. I mean, anti-somebody, someone who's got a real hatred for and willing to die to do them damage. I think my concern is I just don't want this stuff to fall into the hands of people who can indiscriminately, without the checks of power that come into play with these big military and industrial complex stuff. That's the stuff that terrifies me. Is the dirty bomb? Is the bioterrorists? That kind of, that's the stuff that I feel like is probably more of a concern for us than the nuclear stuff. But who knows? I mean, they're both just as cataclysmic. I mean, I loved James. I talked to James Gurney yesterday. Had a wonderful. God, I love that guy. James Gurney, talked to him about microbiology and his phage, his lab, his fabulous, the Gurney lab, and just about his sort of adventures in education and in his studying of phage and the work he's done with Kurzgesagt and just a general sort of dive into his world, which is always just wonderful. But he was saying that there's a certain part of him that goes like, no other species has managed to knock themselves off. That would, we'd be like on the leaderboard. We'd be other people died out, went extinct, but we got rid of ourselves. Way to go, guys. It does feel a bit like that's the competition we're in right now. I wouldn't want you in charge of getting rid of weapons of mass destruction with your track of blowing up things in the galaxy. Right. Exactly. No one would want McKay running this place, of course. Again, you don't want a pure scientist. You want someone who has the diplomatic skills. You need a Weir, or you need a Weir, or maybe a Sam Carter. She's got those jobs as well. Hi, David. How long time no see? Miss seeing you on SGA set or the makeup trailer. Oh, Maribel. Oh my God. Well, lovely to see you too. It has been a very long time. Welcome to our sweaty little chats. For those of you who don't know, those of you who just joined, it wasn't a whole solar system, for God's sake. For those of you who don't know, this is my post-exercise joy. I'm not for you. I don't know why anyone's watching this, and I hope you're just listening, because frankly, I look revolting. Big, great, sweaty old beast that I am. But I'm trying to get a little exercise in here, and this is my reward for it. I get to do a little chit chat after that. So, David, just started watching Mistletoe Murders. Looking forward to see what happens to your character. Oh, Bill, you just wait. Bill 3099, you wait. Mistletoe Murders. It is so much fun. Famous Ray, I play, and it's just I never thought I'd say I'd be a fan of this kind of stuff, but it is a lovely, funny, joyful hour of television, and I cannot recommend it enough. Ken has done the most wonderful job of casting this thing and writing it and putting together a writer's team, and it really is. If you want some just fun murdery stuff, it's wonderful. It's like Murder, She Wrote, but with a nice little Christmassy twist. And I can't remember how many episodes we did. Was it 6 or 8? Or I don't remember. But it was so much fun, and I just absolutely love Sarah and Peter, who are the leads of that. And actually, the entire cast is just wonderful. So yeah, thank you for watching that. I'm really glad. Tony from Sweden. Welcome. Honestly, I feel like this is why aliens leave us alone. Human race is just too dumb and violent for their liking. Yeah, it's funny. There's this really interesting. I can't say I love the format, but I love the idea of this Famous Last Words, I think it's called. And it's a show, British show. I think it's a British show that's where they interview people, and then they interview them, letting them know that they're never going to release this interview until they're dead, until they've died. And they have, the setup is basically it's a Q&A with this guy who's, I guess, is promising not to say anything. And then at the end, they get to make a little blurby piece at the end that they say by themselves in a room locked away. I guess they've got robots operating the camera or something. I don't know how it works. I'm not sure exactly how the secrecy stuff works. Yeah, I imagine, depending on who it is, I imagine there could be some issues. Anyways, but the point being is, so they interview these people knowing that this is not coming out until they die. The first one that they talked to, the first one I saw anyways, was Jane Goodall, who's that wonderful scientist who worked with gorillas. Was it gorillas? Chimps? Gorillas? I can't remember now. Was it chimps? Maybe it was both. Maybe it was chimps. And she's talking about her life, and there was a couple of little things in there where there was she had sort of a crush on some guy, but she wouldn't name him, even though they were, this was not going to come out till after and stuff. But the thing she said, which I thought was so telling, where she said that there is an innate violence in the chimps, that they are born with a sense of violence. And I'm sort of paraphrasing, so if I get this wrong, please let me know. But the sense I got was that like she's like, yeah, that's I mean, that's how they work. And I started wondering, I wonder if that's how we work. I mean, like, I wonder if there is an innate violence to us, and that is always going to be it's always going to be our kryptonite, right? Is that an urge for vengeance, there's an urge for there's impulses of anger and this sort of sense of justice and stuff, that maybe that is part of the problem here. You know, we don't I certainly didn't grow up thinking about prisons as a place you went to be rehabilitated. I always thought of prisons as a place you went to serve time for the things you'd done. And the reality is that makes very little sense. You know, just punishing people for doing bad things all that does is cost civilization, or you know, at least the government and the country money. Whereas if you're actually actively working to improve these people's situation and education and potentially rehabilitate them away from these horrible things that they may have done, or you know, that just seems like a much more practical approach to stuff, even though, again, that's easy for me to say, who hasn't had some personal great loss because of that. And God knows, I mean, like, you know, I'm driving a car, someone cuts me off, I wish them cancer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the most horrible person about that stuff as well. I know where it comes from, and I know it's easy for me to say that when I've not suffered because of it. But I do think that, just from a stepping back, logical, technological republic perspective, oh my God, maybe the book's getting to me. I do feel like it's better that we try to fix these people. Fix is a terrible word too, but at least help them to become a useful part of society, as opposed to just being punished for the terrible things that they've done. It's true. Chimps have been known to set traps for their own group members and even kill and eat bad leaders. Wow, Neil. You know, there's certainly I've had a few days over the last couple of weeks where I've kind of wanted to trap and eat my leader. The ancient lizard brain in us. It's funny, you know, the ancient lizard brain, I think, has been disproven now, hasn't it? They said that the idea of a lizard brain is a nice concept, but it doesn't actually work for us. That it doesn't actually work that way. Mediterranean. Thank you, Darth Piran, for reminding me of that. So funny. Yesterday, I was trying to read this question that was asked yesterday, and there was a lot of sort of technical, biological jargon in it. And at the end, it had this weird word as Mediterraneana, and then as James points out, he's like, it's Mediterranean, David. I'm like, oh, I thought it was so much more complicated when I was, reading it, sounding it out. So maybe I need some rehabilitation and some education too. The thing is, how much can you try? A lot of them are beyond salvation. Well, see, I don't know, Mecca. I don't know. I mean, yeah, there probably are people who are beyond that, but does that mean that we give up on all of them? And also, can we look at where they came from, and if there are ways that we can, again, if we can, even studying them, I mean, as sort of horrible as that sounds, studying them and learning from them and trying to figure out how we can stop this kind of thing from happening in the future without turning into Minority Report, which is basically what I think Palantir wants. Anyways, it was from you, Darth. Thank you, Darth. Well, there you go. Next time you have to write it out phonetically for me, for the idiot pretend genius. I'm so glad, Thomas. I'm glad you're enjoying these chats. I'm afraid I can't talk for long today because I've got my wife is just about to head out, and she's going away for a couple of days. So it's me and Baz hanging out, and by that I mean Baz going out and me hanging here. Basically, it sounds like what's going to happen. Although there is pizza on the horizon, and I think we're going to try to watch. We're going to try to see if we can the new Tron movie. I don't think we're going to go to the theater because it's only out in the middle of nowhere, and I don't really want to go at 10 o'clock or whatever it is. So so yes, I'm hoping we can get a streaming version of it. The reason is purely because of Sarah the other day. So 2 days ago, I did this wonderful chat with I'm a Stargate Genius with Sarah from ESA, and she was talking about material sciences, and she just mentioned in passing how much she loved the new Tron and how much it sort of got her interested in the idea of like hacking and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my God, that means I'm going to love it. That means I'm going to love it. Visually amazing. That's all I'm going for. It's just purples. That's it. I expect nothing else. As soon as I see what's his name in it, what is his name? The guy, the weird long-haired hippie freak. Anyways, the fact that he's in it, Jared Leto. The fact that Jared Leto's in it makes me very nervous. That's generally not a sign of quality for me as it goes forward. Although I did love him in what was it called? What's it called? The Utah, the something. It was he got an Oscar nomination for it. He played a transvestite. I think it was transvestite rather than transsexual. But basically a trans prostitute, and he was unbelievable, like just amazing in it. But then everything else is just being crap. So I was not happy. Like literally, we watched the trailer, Baz and I, in the theater, and we're like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing ever! Oh my god, we can't wait to see this!" And then the last shot was Jared Leto on the bike, and I was like, we were both like, come on. So yeah, Dallas Buyers Club. That was it. Thank you, Sky. Talking about cinema, have you seen Pluribus, Mr. David? And what is your take on it? No, I have not, Mecha DMV. I am looking forward to seeing it. I wonder if my wife's going to make me wait for her to see it, or whether I can start it tonight because I'm on my own. But yeah, I've heard it's kind of interesting, sort of RNA or DNA being sent down from an alien civilization of some sort. I mean, James had mentioned it, James Gurney from yesterday. Please do go check those out, by the way. I just think you'll like the chats, even if you don't understand all the science. I think just listening to Sarah and James talk on those I'm with Stargate Genius are just amazing. I don't think I posted James's yet. I have to set it up on Spotify, but I've got them going up on Spotify as well because I just think it might be easier for people than just watching it on whatever the various different socials are. So honestly, the way they made the practical bikes was fantastic to see. Oh, okay. Don't spoil Mecha. Yeah, no spoilers. We're going to see it but we say back home 2 instead. We say Black Hone 2 instead. Black Hone? Black Bag? Was it Black Bag 2 instead? Thank you, Ja Palmer. If you like these, then you need to go to techbandits.org and get yourself a copy. Okay, that's my wife. We're about to head out. So I should, what's that?
I think it's nothing.
Exciting. For me?
No, it's for Baz.
Okay, I'm live now. So, Dave, do you want to say hi to everyone? No, she doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye because I'm going to say goodbye to my lovely wife. Hey, she's leaving and she's all dressed up.
Warm. I'm in my coat.
And she's all So I'm gonna get out of here. Talk to you all soon. Until we geek again, I will say be brave, be kind, be brilliant, cheerio, and huzzah! Techbandits.org. Go check it out. Thank you all. Bye. Have a great day.